Welcome back to the channel. Hope you've been enjoying the book reviews. I've been getting some comments and things, and I appreciate those. I try to respond to them when I can. The latest book that I read was Juxtaposition by Piers Anthony. This is the third book in the Apprentice Adept series. The reason why I wanted to review this now was because I just finished reading it on Sunday, I think it was. Yeah. So read it, finished reading it on Sunday. I'd kind of gotten behind, things stack up, and before I forget too many of the details, I wanted to go into the book. So if you remember back, I've talked about the previous two books in the series. The first two books in the Apprentice Adept series being Split Infinity and Blue Adept. Now, it seems from the tone of the novel that Piers Anthony originally intended for this to be a trilogy, that he was going to end it here at the end of Juxtaposition. But he ended up coming back to the series 4 more times, apparently. I do have the next 3 books in the series, Out of Phase, Robot, Adept, and Unicorn Point, but I do not have the 7th book in the series, which is called Phased Out. So, there you go. I do have a lot of books by Piers Anthony. I enjoyed the Xanth series, and I have enjoyed the Juxtaposition, or the Apprentice Adept series. They're very different tonally. We have the Xanth series is supposed to be fantastical and by extension a little bit absurd, whereas Juxtaposition is not supposed to, or the Apprentice Adept, and by extension Juxtaposition is not supposed to be have that absurd humor in it. Anyway, in Juxtaposition, Style has our protagonist he's won the tournament, which means that he is now a citizen of Proton, as well as being a very powerful magic user in the world of Phase. Now, Phase and Proton are connected. They're dual worlds that, because of the way that it works, they kind of occupy the same space, but they're out of sync with each other. And at the curtain boundary, you can cross between them. But you can only cross between them if your double on the other side has passed away. So, Style was the subject of an assassination plot on Proton. And because of that assassination plot, his double was also targeted for that same assassination plot. Style here being able to evade his assassins, his double was not so lucky. Now, in the third book, he has since been able to overcome the boundary between him and his double's ex-wife, and has been able to court her, and they have wed. So he is now married to his double's former wife. And in pursuit of what on earth is going on, he and his bride have decided to take a honeymoon and travel around Phase. One of the more fantastical elements, because this is a magical world, it is able to have a West Pole. And that is a mysterious place. Nobody knows much about it. And he decides to go there to try to figure out what is going on. Now, what is going on is that Phase and Proton are heading for disaster. There is on the Proton side of the world, they have been mining a mineral called protonite. This mineral is has fantastical properties, and as such, it allows for space travel. On the Phase side, Phase has that same mineral, but it's not called protonite, it's called phasite. Now, phasite is used to power magic. So, on the Proton side, they're mining it from the planet, they're sending it off planet to power starships and other machines. On the Phase side, when you use a magical spell, the mechanics aren't exactly explained, but basically it grabs onto the phasite somehow in the planet, and it consumes it for use in your spell. Now, because of the Proton side, there's an imbalance, because for hundreds of years, the humans have been mining the heck out of the planet. They've basically destroyed the planet to get at the protonite. You cannot live on the planet's surface. It is a hostile, caustic wasteland with hardly breathable atmosphere. You have to live in these sheltered force field domes that keep the atmosphere in and are habitable. So there's an imbalance between the two planets where the protonite is being exhausted and the phasite not being exhausted at the same rate, and so there's the imbalance. And because of that, there's going to be some sort of cataclysm. It's never really explained what's going to happen, but possibly the destruction of both worlds. And it comes down to style to set the balance right. How he's supposed to do that, he doesn't know. And the adepts on Phase don't want him to succeed, and the citizens on Proton don't want him to succeed either. In fact, when he becomes a citizen of Proton, he's told that in order for him to accomplish his designs, he's going to need to become the richest man on Proton in a very, very short amount of time. And on the Phase side, he has to figure out what's going on with the other adepts. He already is pretty much the most powerful magic user on Phase. But the other adepts basically will band together against him to keep him from his goal of balancing out the forces in the planets, so that, because they're like, it can't be as bad as all that, which it is. So there you go. It continues on in the same vein, with style jumping around between Proton and Phase. He finds out a few things. He finds out what the Oracle is, and he finds out that there is a book of magic that can make anyone a very powerful mage, magic user, however you want to say it. But nobody knows where it is. And so it comes down to him trying to figure out the Oracle and the Oracle's prophecies and how they are either hindering or helping him, as well as who can be his allies and who are going to be his enemies on both sides. Because, as I said before, the people on Proton don't want him to succeed. A lot of the people on Proton, especially the citizens, know about Phase. And some of them even have their alternate selves, or have basically become aware of Phase because on the Phase side, their alternate self has passed away, and so they're able to cross back and forth. And because of that, they know what's going on. They know that there's a prophecy about the destruction of the planets, but it's interesting that they don't see it in the terms of, we've got to do something about this right this second, otherwise the planet is going to be, both planets are going to be destroyed. But as I said, it does wrap up the series quite nicely. However, there is a caveat to that. As I said, it wraps up the series quite nicely, and because of the way the series ends, there's a feeling that this is the end. That that this is just supposed to be a trilogy. It really doesn't feel like, hey, we're going to go on to further adventures. And in fact, the next 3 books in the series, while style may feature in those books, he's not a protagonist in any of them. They're completely different people now. But as I said before, there is a sense that this was supposed to be the end, for one. So it wrapped it up nicely. I still have the same hang-ups that I did before. Why on earth would you expect the menial laborers to walk around nude? That does not make any sense. I mean, even if you're saying, okay, clothing is a sign of status in your society, you don't make the menial laborers who rely on protective clothing. I mean, even if you're in a climate-controlled environment where you technically are warm enough or cool enough to get around, you don't wander around naked. That doesn't make any sense, because there are so many things that, about a job. You're working with machinery, you're working with just walking around. You could step on something that, a rock, broken glass. You'd need shoes. Anyway, as I said, that still doesn't make sense. That's still a stupid idea. I can totally understand, the serfs being issued with like functional garments that basically are indistinguishable from anyone else. Whereas the citizens, because they're rich and they're powerful, they get to doll themselves up however the heck they want. That makes sense. But anyway, I'm going too far down that road. Unfortunately, in the climax, there's a Deus Ex Machina instance, and I hate those, especially when they're very obvious and heavy-handed. If they're very subtle, so that it was like you could tell that the hero had done the vast majority of the work, and this Deus Ex Machina only lended that extra 5%, whatever it happens to be, just basically tipped the scales from behind the scenes. I hate it when the efforts of the hero are basically moot, if you will. It doesn't matter if they were there or not. It does irk me. There's a reason that we have the protagonist. There's a reason that we're invested in his or her actions, because we're hoping that at the end of the story to get the payoff that their efforts were rewarded. And when you have this Deus Ex Machina moment, you feel robbed, and unfortunately, there is that in the climax of the book. There is still a payoff. Maybe not necessarily in the way that you think there's going to be a payoff. But again, if it wasn't for the Deus Ex Machina moment, then it wouldn't have mattered what the hero did. And so that kind of, it should have been the hero that instigated that Deus Ex Machina moment rather than having that come from outside. Anyway, that's it. That's the Juxtaposition. It's basically about Style trying to gain enough power in both the proton frame and the phase frame, and making allies in both, so that he is in the position to influence the outcome of the story. And unfortunately, there's a Deus Ex Machina moment that, in my opinion, robs that of its poignancy, I guess. Anyway, that's it for this one. As I said, until next time, enjoy what you're reading. Like, subscribe, comment down below, all that other stuff. Put the bell on so you get notified when I release these videos. Later.